What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Gumps podcast, episode whatever. Today we got a special guest with Andy from the Dorks Next Door. Make sure you guys subscribe to them at Dorks Next Door. Important. I told you guys by Monday, if they get to 50, you get a special surprise. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. You don't know. Well, guess what? You better subscribe in order to figure out that answer. So, no one likes it open-ended, so you go subscribe. Welcome, Andy. What's up, dude?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Fantastic. Not mad whatsoever. Man,
No.
seeing my neck in the camera, I'm like, God diggity damn, I need to shave. This is why I need a razor. Like, I have a decent razor, but I saw YouTubers promoting razor, and he's like, comment down below if you want to be qualified. I'm like, I have a neck beard, so give it to me. So we'll see, because I actually need. I got decent stuff, but who knows? I need a lot better shit. We got a lot to talk about today. So today we were talking about an American pickle, which is something I was actually looking forward to a lot. And another topic is going to be streaming versus theaters and stuff like that with this whole coronavirus crap. Not going to talk too much about the corona stuff because that's been talked to death enough. But today we got a kind of full show, and if you guys got topics, questions, anything like that, comment down below. It doesn't have to be just for me; it can be also for Andy. Again, subscribe. We got Katana in the comments. Yo, what's up? And we got Nico saying, "Sup, daddies."
Sup, daddy?
Hey, dude. So
Appreciate that.
Yeah, so before the podcast, you mentioned that you saw bits and pieces of An American Pickle. We're not going to do spoilers, by the way, guys, because I do feel like this is something that you guys should at least give it a try. It's very short. It's an hour 28, so I think it's worth the watch at least. So, but Andy, what parts did you see without going to spoilers, and what did you think?
I saw only like the first 30 minutes, I think, of the movie. So I didn't get to see. It's a very short movie, though. I think it's like an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
So I only saw about 20 to 30 minutes of it. I think I'm a big fan of Seth Rogen anyway. So anything he does, I'm going to be a fan of it. I know a lot of people are one of the movies that he's in that a lot of people hate, but I really love is the Christmas movie he did with Anthony Mackie and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
That's a good movie.
I thought he was great in it. He was definitely the shining moment in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything he does like this, I think it's really, really great. And so I want to finish it. I'm excited to finish it. I'll probably finish it either tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, I think it's so far what I've seen, I've really, really enjoyed of it.
Yeah, and I agree with you with it. One thing is Seth Rogen, I do like him. He's just got a presence to him. And he's going in a very interesting route that certain comedians strive for, which is going a more dramatic route. This movie is by no means a dramedy. Like, I shared my theories on how this movie was going to go because I was genuinely excited for this movie. And it didn't go the way I wanted to, nor the way I was expecting it to. So take that as you will.
Right.
Yeah, that's one thing that's always dangerous about going into a movie you're really excited for, especially one that's not a superhero movie, which is very easy to please. Because when you go into it like something that's not a big budget action flick, and you have certain expectations for it, and it doesn't meet those, it's easy to say this movie's shit. But again, without spoilers, it didn't take the route that I wanted to go, or I was expecting it to go. But I appreciate it for the way it went, and it made sense. When the movie ended, this is also a sign of a great movie, by the way. When the screen faded to black, I wanted more. I was like, wait, that's it? Please be like an alternate scene, like at the end, just like, okay, this is what's going on. Because I actually bought Seth Rogen playing these two different people. Like, it was actually really good on his part. It shows you that he's got decent acting chops. Because when I saw these characters, he wasn't doing a Seth Rogen shtick. He's not a pothead. He's not this and that. And plus, it's not a Seth Rogen movie. He's just starring in it. But I think this is a great step forward for his career. And I'm really excited to see more of Seth Rogen because, again, he's got a great screen presence, and he did a pretty good job. Like, his accent never broke, accents are very difficult. I don't know what country he said he's from. It's some like third world country that sucks. But no, like, he did a pretty consistent job on that, which is very difficult, and a lot of people don't give enough praise on that. So that was also one thing that was really good. I will say the one complaint I do have is I wish that they went more I won't say it's a complaint. It's more of a nitpick. That they went more dramatic with the story. Yeah. But it was not like busting out laughing, because when the jokes landed, they landed. I was actually laughing my ass off a good point of the movie. And I don't know. I was just expecting more of a dramatic element to it. Again, that's probably just my own headspace going into this movie with certain expectations. Because when I was watching this movie, I'm like, dude, this is gonna be deep as shit. It's gonna be like why there's benefits to having the old ways of living and versus good ways of living in the modern world. But it didn't go that route. But it had a very strong message about family and honor, and I thought that was a very nice message. And the one thing I can say about this movie in one word is it's charming. It's very charming.
Yeah,
I was grinning from ear to ear.
That's like that's a trait of like Seth Rogen movies.
Yeah,
is like while they're very heavy, 90% of them are very heavy in comedy because that's that's who he is. But there's Seth Rogen movies are very, very charming. And I think it's because his personality comes across so much in every actor and every character that he's playing. He is definitely you can definitely see that he takes everything he does seriously. Even though he's a comedian, he cares about landing the jokes and making the jokes and everything like that. And it's very charming. He has a very charming personality around him. Yeah, and
again, no spoilers, but the second act was the point of the movie. I was like, oh, this went a way I was not expecting. But again, normally, as a fan of Seth Rogen and being a fan of this concept, normally I'd be like, it didn't go the way I want. But I was so glued to these characters, and again, I'm not seeing Seth Rogen. I'm seeing this guy from 1919 and a guy from 2020, and I'm seeing these characters, and I believe it. And I was just like, who gives a rat's ass? I'm interested to see where this goes. And some of the jokes are obvious, but not in the sense of you see them coming. You would when you're writing a script about something like this. Some of the jokes that come to your head are probably in this movie, but they still land. Because, again, it's all context, it's delivery, and it's acting, and he delivers on it. So, again, if you guys have not seen An American Pickle, please go watch it. It's on HBO Max, and it's not like you got to buy it like another topic we're going to be talking about in the next couple minutes. But it's just, if you got the streaming service, you can go for it. So, any last words, Andy, before we switch to our main topic today?
I don't think so. I think it's just I would definitely, from what I've seen, I definitely would say if you are, and even if you're not, still I would recommend watching it.
Yeah. Okay. So the main topic today is something that's been going on in my head for at least a week now. It's been about 2 weeks now. It's been a story that's been unfolding for a while. And it's the movie theaters versus streaming services versus, release dates. It's a big mess. So for those who don't know, back in Trolls World Tour, Universal was literally a week away from releasing this movie, and they're like, we're going to streaming. And AMC didn't get a memo that was going to happen until 20 minutes before the actual announcement. And some people are like, I like that. Who cares? It's time for theaters to adapt or die. And that's a very, my one friend who said this to me on a podcast, I'm not pointing fingers at you. It's not just you. It's everybody who are siding with the studios. Adapt or die. There's a problem I have with that saying. We'll get into that in a minute. But, so now Universal and AMC are getting a contract. So for those who don't know, when a movie gets released into theaters, 90 days later, it can be released for streaming, VOD, whatever. But Universal and AMC now have this contract, this agreement that Universal can release their films in AMC theaters, but instead of having that 90-day window, it's 17 days. Oh, that's adapting. That's them adapting. No, what the fuck it isn't. That's them shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. The first 2 weeks is where the majority of their money comes from. But guess what? Fun fact, by the way, Avatar, the Blue Monkey space Native American-esque movie, that would not have made $2.3 billion? That would have made $200 million, and it would have lost money. Yeah, that's a lightning in a bottle scenario, but it tells you that there's movies out there that get that extra legging going. It's just a thing. I don't know, and it's fucking moronic. So I want to hear your thoughts on the terminology adapt or die, and whose side are you on, and all this other nonsense that's going on, because it's a pretty hefty topic we're going to go through.
Yeah, I think both sides have valid points to their argument. I think both sides are, obviously the end game of it all is how both companies can prioritize and make the most money off the situation. Which, I mean, call it greedy or whatever, they're a company, they're a business. At the end of it all, they're there specifically to make money. Yeah. And so I think both sides are bringing up very fair points of, AMC wants there to be movies in the theater so that they can get people to come in, they can pay for the ticket, they can pay for concession, they can do all of that, they can make their money. The studios are wanting to get their films out, because they spent a lot of money on these movies, and if they don't get them out by a certain point, then it all kind of just falls apart. And so I think both sides have merit to their argument. Yeah. I think it truly depends on the film, because let's take our biggest hobby, both of our biggest hobbies. We both really, really, really enjoy superhero films.
Yes.
The biggest thing, one of the biggest things that I love about the superhero films is like when you go to watch Infinity War or Captain America: Civil War and Endgame, these big films, sitting in a theater with a bunch of people who are just as excited as you are to sit there and watch it is more exciting than sitting at home watching it by yourself.
Agreed.
Because it's just like, it's the thrill of it all. You're getting hyped up, you get to interact with people. Normally, though, movies I go into, I don't want there to be a lot of interaction, because like it kind of like takes away from the film. It kind of takes away from the film more. So like, there are movies that I want to see in theater. There are movies I'm just fine seeing at home. Paying to see at home, whatever. So I think there is a compromise. The 17-day thing versus the 90-day thing. I think 90 days was way too long anyway. I think 17 though is way too short. So I think there needs to be
in the middle, like 60,
like 50 to 60.
Yeah,
is better than because 90 days is
it's a month and a half.
No,
it's 3 months. No, it's 3 months.
3 months out. Yeah. So 50 days or 40 days would even do like a month and a half, which would be better off, because at that point the movie is still kind of fresh in people's minds, whereas 90 days later it's like
you forgot about it.
You've kind of forgot about it already. But the 17-day thing, it's barely in theaters for 2 weeks before you can get it anywhere else, and it's just kind of that's kind of ridiculous.
And another notion is, it's not going to happen. You know why? Because other studios are like, what the that's a stupid ass deal.
Yeah.
And the other theater chains are like, what? That's going to kill us. So no one is agreeing with this thing. And you know why studios are also like, yo, what the fuck? 2 big reasons. Fun fact. Studios need theaters. This is going to come back to this is going to kind of lean into the second part of this big chunk of crap we got to talk about. So people are like, well, just release it on streaming. It's fine. Adapt or die. It's the future. Who wants to go outside and go to a theater? No one wants to do that anymore. Couple things. There's so many points I have against people who are just like, oh, adapt or die, theaters are done. There's so many points. So my brain's just trying to grasp that one. No, but reason number 1, box office success is at the highest peak it's been in years, decades, ever. In 2019, it was the 3rd most successful box office year ever in history. And I think the other 2 were years prior, like 5 years prior. So the whole argument and shtick of theaters are dying, That's moronic. It's absolutely asinine. The reason why they're suffering right now is not because of an outdated system. It's because of coronavirus, and that's literally it.
Yeah.
But you gotta adapt to the situation. They have adapted by releasing AMC A-List. They've released Regal has their subscription service, because we're in a subscription era right now where you pay X amount a month, you get X amount of stuff. That's what AMC A-List did, and guess what? They were just about to turn a profit when this coronavirus happened. That's why they were the first one to hit the shitter, because they made a risque play, and guess what? It was getting ready to pay off, and then it just hit the fan. So that's reason number one. They have adapted, but inconveniences happened, and now they're biting the bullet for it. Number two, box office has not been going down. If anything, it's been going up. And reason number three, the studios need the theaters. And here's why. You can say, well, they're HBO Maxes, for example. They're making money. Okay, so I don't remember the numbers exactly, because I did research on this like last week when I was going to do the podcast on this last week. But so it's $15 a month. And I think roughly, with all the subscriptions they have right now, year-round, it's going to be $700 million. Now, that is under what Wonder Woman would make at the theaters on its own. That's not just saying... It's a high number. It's a high number. But if you want to release movies on streaming services, that's not going to cut it. Now, now we're seeing a new tactic, literally just... I think it was yesterday when it was first announced that Mulan is going to be on Disney Plus, but you're going to have to pay $30 to see it. Normally, I'll be like, that's the best way. That's the best out of a horrible situation. But some people are bickering and complaining, Disney's selling out. How dare they? They're being greedy. They're being cheap. Let's Andy, do me a favor, check the budget of Mulan for me. Do that for me. And so we're going to also assume Disney Plus is a little higher, at least the initial numbers were a little bit higher than HBO Max's.
So the production budget was $200 million.
So you got to double that for market. Well, we won't double it just for this case because of Corona, so they didn't really market as much. We'll say the marketing was $100 million. So that's a budget of $300 million. That's $700 million we're just going to use for now. Just got sliced in half. And guess what? That's not going to account for your Mandalorian, so not your superhero films, no original product. So do you guys want original product? Or do you just want recycled Disney garbage? No offense. Disney's cool, but they a lot of their shit is pretty dumb. Just saying. Let's get that out there.
Yeah.
But if you want original product, that's the best thing you're going to do. Release it on a streamer service and pay for what a DVD cost is going to amount to. And guess what? They're still not going to make as much money as they would in theaters, assuming that people actually want to see it. That's assuming. But there's no shot in hell that they're going to make more money on streaming services than theaters. So why would you pick one? I'm going to put you in charge, Andy, really quick, of HBO Max or Warner Brothers. You're sitting down. You got two situations in front of you. Well, not situations. You got two money makers. You got Warner Brothers on the left in theaters. In the year of 2019, you made $4.1 billion. And then you look at HBO Max, made $700 million. Do you sit there and think, I'm going to toss one out because adapt or die? Or do you just say, fuck it, I'll keep both because I'm making money?
You keep both because you're financially making money. Plus, like, during this time, if they didn't have HBO Max, or if Disney, let's say Disney didn't have Disney Plus, both companies wouldn't be making anything right now.
Yeah.
Because their movie theaters are shut down. If they have tie-ins to theme parks, those are shut down.
Yep.
There's a lot of money that isn't being used. There's a lot of money that isn't coming in that normally is. And so now they have their streaming services are kind of just keeping them going. Yeah. And then once like everything opens back up and theaters open back up, then that's just even more profit coming in. And you can say these companies are greedy, but like they have to make money to produce money, like giving Mulan a $200 million budget, or Black Widow. Like I think Black Widow's budget was like $150 to $200 million, something like that. So like both of those coming together, like you have to make money to spend money. You have to spend money to make money, and so that's kind of their philosophy of like adapt and die is really a dumb argument because there are going to be people that want to stay at home and stream, but there are going to be people that want to go out to the theater, and you're making money off of both properties right then and there.
Yeah, like it's another thing where like, cool, if you prefer streaming services, cool, but there's still a large majority of people who want to go to the movies. I am seriously considering driving 45 minutes north. Well, no, it's actually an hour. It's an hour and 15 now because I'm not in Mantua anymore. I'm more south, but I would rather drive an hour and 15 minutes to a drive-in movie theater that's only showing one movie in 3 different screenings, and it's a shitty movie called The Rental. I'm actually considering that. That's the level of fuck I need a movie going. I'm sitting there scratching my arm to the point where I'm bleeding. I need my fix. So
the drive-in theater here in Tennessee, they're showing. They do the double feature, and so you pay, and like the movies that they're showing right now. One of them, I think, on one screen is like The Rental and some other thriller movie or horror movie or whatever. But then on the other screen, it is Tim Burton's Batman and Space Jam.
That's awesome.
And so it's both of them back to back. So people are like going. There's a reason why Walmart is now opening up a drive-in movie theater on their parking lot.
Yeah,
is because people want to go out and like see these movies on a big screen.
Yeah, it's an experience. Like I'm telling you, like I've told this story a handful of times, but I'll say it again because it's the best experience I've ever had in a movie theater. So when Infinity War was coming out, I'm like, this is a big deal. This is what I've always wanted to see on the big screen. It's something massive, a culmination of 11 years, well at this point 10 years building up to this one moment. Every character I've ever loved is in there. Shit, other than the X-Men, everyone I ever loved growing up is in there. Right. Spider-Man's in there, and never have I thought that was going to happen. So I'm like, I want to make this a big event. So I got my ticket and 10 other people's tickets, purchased that. We got one row. I actually was able to get one row by myself, just for us. And other than 2 or 3 seats. And I remember watching this movie with all my friends from different groups. Like, these guys were not friends with each other. The only connection they had was with me. And they were just having a great time watching these events unfold in front of us. Hearing like Loki's neck snap, everyone's gasping, and one of my friends who doesn't even watch Marvel, he's like, "Oh shit, I wasn't expecting that." I'm like, "Oh fuck yeah, dude!" And then when the Avengers: Infinity War title card popped up at the very end, and it just faded away. My one friend, like everyone was silent and dead, like depressed. My one friend on the far end from me said, "Oh shit, the title died too!" And everyone in the theater cracked the fuck up. It's the best experience, and guess what? I love that movie because it's a great movie, but I love it even more because of that experience. If you take that experience away, you're losing something that these movies are meant for. The big screen, surround sound.
We did something similar. Me and Jason did something similar with Endgame, where we like rented out like 2 or 3 rows of people.
Damn!
We went and saw Endgame. There was like 40 people with us. There was a lot awesome. But that was a lot of fun because like we had like a party beforehand where we played games, we played trivia, stuff like that, and then we went to the theater and watched the movie like as a group of friends. But like going back to Infinity War, like besides like the snap and everyone fading away and whatever, the 2 biggest reactions that my theater got was Cap's introduction, because people lost it when Cap showed up. Yeah, but then when Thor showed up in Wakanda, people were literally standing up and cheering. Yeah, and like screaming and yelling.
And thinking about it, dude. Oh my god, I just did me too. Back. Oh god.
But like any other movie you go to, people like you would be upset about that, like people freaking out. But like in this type of scenario, in this type of situation, like people dug it and love it, and like that experience adds to it. You can go see a really bad movie, but if you're around people that are enjoying themselves watching this movie, it makes it a better time as well.
Yeah, I agree, and I never actually stood up and screamed before. I give Endgame a lot of grief. I do. But never have I ever stood up and screamed before. And that was when Captain America picked up Mjolnir. Oh god, I'm getting chills again. Because again, it's throwing me back to such a great time. And I just see the hammer picking up, and my friend who never reads a comic book, she just watches the movies every once in a while. She didn't watch them all, but she's like, "Oh, that's cool." And the hammer started floating up, and I started fucking spazzing. She's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And she sees Cap grab it. I'm like, "Oh my god!" I was freaking out. And then he said, "Avengers Assemble." And that's when I stood up, pumped my fist in the air like a fucking Chad. I'm like, "Yeah, get him!"
Yeah,
dude, that was such a cool scene. And then again, one of the most chilling parts, I heard sniffling of just tears of joy, was when you heard "On Your Left" and the portal started opening up. Dude, you can't take away from that. You just can't.
But then those are like emotional highs, but then you like
get the emotional
15, 20 minutes later, when after people realized that after Tony said "I am Iron Man" and snapped his fingers, and like everyone, like Thanos and everyone started disappearing, everyone was cheering, and then it cuts to the shot of I think Rhodey's the first one that gets to him.
Yes.
And like helps him like sit down next to the rubble or the tree or whatever.
Like,
and then like you just hear people like losing it, like crying their eyes out. Like there was, when we went opening night, it was me and my brother-in-law and a friend of mine and his dad. And like there was a row of like teenage girls that were probably like 16, 17 years old, and they were like they were like sniffling, and like I caught myself sniffling during that part as well, of like, this got me. Like this is, but like the emotional around it of like everyone in the theater was like, you could hear a pin drop in a theater filled with like 150 people. And so like, but like if you take away the theater, you lose those moments, you lose those connections of like people wanting to be there to experience this as a fandom. It's like, I equate it to like watching Infinity War and Endgame is like watching because I'm a sports guy as well, but like watching your favorite sports team playing for a championship.
Yeah.
Like you're into it, you're hype about it, and like, yeah, it's fun to watch it by yourself, but when you're in a group, like when you're with a group of people that enjoy it and like are cheering along with you, you're like, it takes it to another level. And that's the same thing with these movies. They take it to another level of enjoying it. There's a reason why the Russo brothers and Tom Holland and I think Benedict Cumberbatch all went to go watch the movie in L.A. with the fans, because it adds even more to it.
Oh, dude, I would have been crying if I was part of that experience of making that movie, and you hear people just freaking out, and I'm like, let's say I'm like the Russo brothers, I'm one of them, and I made this film for years, and you're just always anxious if this movie's going to be good or not, and you hear people freaking out, laughing, having a good time, and crying. Dude, oh my god, that's going to be the most humbling thing ever. That's awesome.
Is, yeah.
And the reason why stuff like this happens with the excitement going up to another level, because I'm not a sports guy. That's very freaking obvious. But when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, we had a massive party, and I found myself screaming at the TV. A guy who watches football once, maybe twice, and I watched it a little bit for the what was it? The freaking thing that got screwed over. The fantasy football. That I got wrecked, dude. Dude, it didn't matter. I had what's his face from the Ravens. The quarterback.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I didn't matter. It did not matter. The dude got sidetracked. Whatever. Beside the point. So that's a complete opposite of something. The yin and yang, mob mentality. When people get pissed off, like cancel culture, that's a mob mentality. This is a complete opposite of it.
Right.
And I think, again, taking away the theaters is taking away such a massive positive that it's going to probably increase the negative, and it's going to throw things out of balance. I'm not saying this is the holy thing that's keeping this world from crushing down. It's not. It's not the truth, but it makes life that much easier, because someone like me, growing up, never had friends that were into this. My best friends are complete opposites of me. They are rednecks. They like shooting deer, and they do hood rat shit in the woods, doing donuts in the woods. That's them.
Right.
I have a little bit of that in me, but that's 100% them. I'm like a blend. I'm like a freaking abomination. I'm a Heinz 57. But what I am at foremost is a nerd. And I didn't get to grow up with stuff like that. So when I finally get to have a YouTube channel, I have this awesome community that makes me feel good. But seeing something like that, there's people like you out there that just get excited for characters on the big screen. It makes you feel safe and fine and like comfortable and excited. And I feel like it's one of the few places that you can be 100% you, just really have a good time. And
like, I mean, I don't think it's going out on a limb to say this, but like, let's say you take away, let's say streaming has been around for the last 20 years or so.
Okay.
Let's just put this into play. If that is the case, then if you just streamed all of the MCU movies, I can almost guarantee you 100% that it would not be as big as it is now.
For many reasons.
I can almost guarantee you that the Star Wars trilogy, take it however you want to, or any of the Star Wars movies, if you stream those, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal as it is.
Agreed.
Because it's just something about the theater that allows you to be there with other people, like you said, that like it's like a community. I've probably never met anyone in the theater I'm sitting next to, but if for the next like 2.5 hours, or in Endgame's case 3 hours, you're sitting there, and it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, what this is. At the end of the day, you're there watching a Marvel film as a Marvel fan, a DC film as a DC fan. Whatever the case is, you're watching it, and you can let yourself go, and you can enjoy it with other people just like you around you. And it really makes it all worth it at the end.
Yeah, I could not agree more. It seems like the both of us are harping on the same topic, but it's just really laying down the importance of the movie. So, like, again, I know some people who are I won't say anti-theater, but they're like, adapt or die. It's streaming services are the future. It's time for them to do something. But you can't take away something like that. The theaters have been around for 100 years.
Right.
100 years the theaters have been around. And if this adapt or die thing was a thing, and your version of adapt or die is shoot yourself in the foot and then be fine with it, the theaters would have been dead by the 80s.
Long ago.
By the 90s. Because, fun fact, in the 80s, theaters were very controversial. You know why? Because they were showing violence. And you know why movies started getting more violent is because people were more accustomed to violence when the Vietnam War happened. I actually did a paper on this in high school. That's why I know this. After the Vietnam War happened, more people were accustomed to violence. Therefore, violence were making waves in theaters. And a lot of the older people were like, we're not cool with this. And they're like, let's just shut it down. And adapt or die, the movies would have shot themselves in the foot. And guess what? We would not have gotten any MCU movie, would not have gotten Blade. We would not have gotten any of the Disney movies like Lion King.
You wouldn't get any of like the Halloween movies either.
Yeah.
Like those were the horror films were a big deal because like a lot of states, like because I recently watched a podcast. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're called Dead Meat, but they're specifically like a horror based podcast or like a horror based YouTube channel. And like they were talking about like the history of horror films against like theaters, meaning like a lot of theaters at first refused to show a lot of these horror films because it was so drastic and different, and like they just thought that they wouldn't sell. But then like when these big budget, when these movies, slasher films like Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street or all of these different movies come into play, and like people are wanting to see them because like you said, it's a new perspective and it's something edgier that people want to go see. Then they start making more money, and they realize, oh, we can start doing a lot more in theaters now than we ever have been able to, you know. Yeah. But like if you take away theaters, we wouldn't get anything. We wouldn't get Halloween. We wouldn't have gotten Nightmare on Elm Street. We wouldn't have gotten any of the big horror movies that have kind of led the way to the big budget blockbuster films of the summer and things like that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, realistically, I think if you take away theaters, I genuinely believe this. I think you'll be paying more money because, like again, with Mulan costing $30 on top of the streaming service cost, you're not paying $30 per person, but every new major release that you might want to see, you might not want to see, you have to pay the $30 on top of the $15 you're already paying for, and guarantee you the streaming services cost is going to go up because it's just not a viable way to survive in the long run. It's just realistically not, even with the $30 on top, because DVD sales do not have almost any effect on the overall box office. I don't think they count for the box office overall, but DVD sales, they're not even a percentage of the box office. They're probably like a 0.05.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get Mulan. You're not going to get any big budget movies. At best, you're going to get a lot of like An American Pickle. I love the movie. I genuinely like the movie a lot. But I want to see bigger movies too, because we have the technology, we have the capabilities of telling these bigger stories, and I want to see them. I don't want to have everything being grounded and just being like realistic or like a what if scenario. And I want to be able to go to galaxies and space and see the Sinestro Corps versus the Green Lantern Corps with Saint Walker over there shooting his Blue Lantern. I want to see all that shit.
Right.
But it's not going to happen.
Right. I do think, though, kind of the benefit of having a Disney Plus or an HBO Max, because I don't think DC or Warner Brothers are going to do anything specifically for. I know they have the DC app. They had the DC app for a while, but it kind of
it's kind of hit the hay. Yeah, because HBO Max now has Harley Quinn.
Right. And Doom Patrol and everything.
Well, they
else.
had that for a while. Harley Quinn was like still in. Like exclusive to DC universe, because I remember when this whole talk was like happening. Like originally, when I first saw HBO Max have Doom Patrol, I didn't see Harley Quinn because I was just curious. I'm like, is everything there?
Right.
And it was not there. And I went to my DC app, and it was still Harley Quinn was still there. And I think it was only like a week ago, maybe even less, that Harley Quinn. So I think it's dying slowly but surely.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be around the next year or so.
No, definitely not. It's gonna be dead by the end of the year, most likely.
But like, take Disney Plus for an example. We wouldn't be able to get characters like Moon Knight or Miss Marvel or She-Hulk on the big screen.
Oh my god, yes, can't wait.
But we get them because of the advantages of having a Disney Plus streaming service. We get to see these characters that are probably going to show up in later films, but they wouldn't have gotten their own solo film. And so now we get to see these characters because of a streaming service. So there are definitely benefits of a streaming service. But I don't think you just need to throw all of your chips into the streaming service. I think you need to have a balance of theaters and streaming. And, they can that's the beauty of it, is they can intersect and go back and forth all they want. You can throw them back and forth to get more people to go to the theater, but then you can get more people to come stream to your service as well. They definitely bounce back and forth.
And Webhead, on what you said, I do consider the drive-in theaters as a movie theater because that's still a movie-going experience. It's a little bit different, but it's interesting because drive-in theaters were pretty much dead. Like, fun fact, I'd never ever seen a drive-in theater. Never. I never stepped foot in one. I never even seen one with my own eyeballs. Never. Because again, the nearest one where I'm at right now is an hour and 20 minutes away.
Right.
And just because they're a dying breed even when I was around, when I was like a kid. But it's interesting that this COVID shit is kind of reviving the idea of drive-in theaters, which I think is cool because I feel like if you just want to, if you're not a fan of the theater-going experiences, like certain people like that I know, and you just don't want to deal with people being obnoxious assholes, right. I think a drive-in theater is a good way because it's just gonna be. It can literally just be you in your car. You can have the temperature to any way you want, and you have your own privacy. And
have your own snacks.
Yeah, you have your own snacks. You don't have to worry about the convenience stands. None of that.
Right.
You're fine. But yeah, I think it's cool that they're coming back. Here's a fun fact: they were also talking about it's like a spin on the drive-in theater. It was like boats. I'm not sure if you saw that. There was concept art.
Yeah.
About like it's gonna be this giant LED projector screen, which is not gonna be cheap. It's gonna be so movie theaters are projections, like they're literally just like a piece of plastic and a projector aiming at it. No, this is gonna be an LED TV because of day and night. It's gonna be outside, and you're gonna be on this little lake. Well, not a little lake. You're gonna be on this massive lake with I think it's like a 6-person boat, and you can sit there and watch the movie. And I think that's gonna be very fascinating to see how that works out. The only downside to this is you're gonna have to. It's only gonna be available in locations that have major lakes. Like
Yeah.
anywhere, I have a lot of lakes near me, but nothing big enough to house something like that. So I feel like the Great Lakes are going to be like a major player in that if they end up affording to buy out that lake. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like upper state New York is going to be high on this end. I just know anywhere that has a major lake, it's going to be fair game. And I would like to try that. That's a different experience. I feel like in order to just warm people up to a new idea is release older classics. Like, again, Lord of the Rings. I'm kind of Lord of the Rings out because I watched the trilogy back to back. And, wow, that's a marathon and a half.
That is a marathon and a half.
It's a good movie. They're a good trilogy, but Christ, 3.5 hours long? Okay, let's get sidetracked really quick. Okay. My personal belief is a movie should be from 90 minutes to at max 3 hours. And I feel like 3 hours is if you have a story that needs it. And Endgame is one of those things that needed it. And Lord of the Rings and what was it, the final one called? Return of the King. That one I understood why it needed that 3.5 hours. Not really. You could easily trim 15 to 20 minutes off. We'll get into that in a second. But fucking Christ, that was a marathon. But no, I'm a firm believer from 90 minutes to 3 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know why it is. Like directors like Zack Snyder. Why do you need a movie that's second in your franchise to be 3 hours long? And get this, and still suck. BVS I'm talking about. You just saw the Ultimate Edition. What are your thoughts on that?
I did just see.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't hate it as much as I did. That being said, I still hate it.
Yeah, it's still tits, isn't it?
It helped it a lot because it gave a lot more. It made a lot more sense to the plot.
I guess you can say that.
In some areas, I will say this. I think this helped Batman's performance, Ben Affleck's performance, more than the theatrical release did. I didn't hate Ben Affleck as much in this as I did in the actual movie. There is so much still that it's copy and paste of each other. The entire movie of like. Batman has a reason to hate Superman, and it makes total sense why he hates Superman. Because of the fight with Zod, and they blew up Metropolis and his building and Gotham and everything, blah, 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 whatever. He wrecked a lot of stuff, and a lot of people paid for it. That made sense. Batman hating him, that makes sense. Superman being mad at Batman for branding people was a bit of a stretch, considering he, like, kills people a lot. And, like, you know, he does what he wants. He did kill a lot of people. So, like, that kind of just doesn't make sense to me a whole lot. It was just the plot made more sense after watching it, but it still didn't make 100% of the sense that I thought it would. And it was just, it's still not what I wanted it to be. And it's Zack Snyder's fault, but it's also this, like, the Warner Brothers' fault of, like...
I feel like it's more the Warner Brothers' problem than...
Oh, yeah, I definitely think that, too, because they try to rush everything to get to where Marvel's at. And it's like, you cannot do that at all. But I can see where the studio hindered the theatrical release a lot more than the Ultimate Edition. I can see that very, very clearly. So it gives me a little hope for the Snyder cut of the Justice League movie. But I still don't think it's going to be anything special.
Yeah.
That being said, it's not my least favorite DC movie now. It's gone above Justice League and Suicide Squad by just a little bit.
I don't know. I still, like, all that did for me was fix Superman's plot and a little bit of Batman's, like, that's all it did. And all it did for me was made it feel longer. And
yes, it was much longer.
Yeah, like 30 minutes for what? To explain 2 plot points?
Yeah.
You know why I hate... Because people... I'm not kidding when I say this. This is back when I had an Instagram. People would tell me and bitch to me, you can't judge Batman versus Superman until you see the Ultimate Edition. I'm like, the fuck I can't? I paid money. My money. Not my mom's money. My money. To see this piece of dog shit. Because the first time I went around, I'm like, what? Nah. I'm going to watch it with my friend. And then see my friend's reaction watching, I was like, yeah, I hate this fucking piece of shit. But, yes, it had cool moments. Yeah, Batman and Metropolis. Yes, that's literally a 5-minute sequence in a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
So,
I do think though, BVS has more redeemable qualities than Justice League does.
The thing is with Justice League and me, because is it worse made? Of course, it's a god awful piece of shit movie. But did I have fun with it? Surprisingly,
no,
I did.
I did not.
I did.
I did not.
I don't know why I did, but it was a little bit more entertaining. Because with BVS, it was so ugly to look at.
Every time Ezra Miller came on screen, I wanted to jump off a building. Every time. He is everything I've ever seen him in. I don't mind saying this. Everything I've ever seen him in, he is terrible in.
Yeah, he's pretty awful in Fantastic Beasts. He's pretty tense
he's not good in anything I've seen. So like I have no hope for his character. I have zero interest in seeing Flashpoint. Even with Michael Keaton possibly showing up in it, I still don't really want to see it. And so like to me, Justice League has zero redeemable qualities. Whereas, BVS, it has its moments of like the opening scene is pretty cool. It's fantastic. There are moments of like the final fight between Superman and Batman that are interesting and pretty decent.
Gonna disagree with you there. I thought that
Doomsday,
fight was awful.
Listen, I know you didn't really like her that much. I thought Wonder Woman was the best part of the movie. She didn't need to be there at all, but she was the best part of the movie. Plus, her theme was the best part of the movie. 100%. As well. I enjoy her theme. Her theme is fantastic.
Dude, it's fucking kick-ass.
But everything else was just rough. Jesse Eisenberg was a great Riddler. He was a great Riddler.
He was so terrible as a Lex Luthor.
Lex was no. And the grandma's jar of piss thing was
that ruined it.
Funny. It was funny.
I hated it.
But it wasn't supposed to be funny.
Like every time I bring up Lex Luthor in that movie, everyone has the same argument. Like defending a $250 million budget film is their job. Like I said, I hated Lex Luthor. Technically, that's not Lex Luthor. That's actually his son. I'm like, guess what? That's the guy that's going against Superman. I don't care if he's Lex Jr. and who the fuck Lex Sr. is. I don't care if Lex Sr. is Kevin Spacey. I don't fucking care. The fact that this is the Lex Luthor, Lex Jr., my bad, Lex Jr. is the one going against Superman tells me that this is the Lex Luthor that we're supposed to pay attention to, and he's fucking terrible. I wanted to see, in a cinematic universe, it's literally like a plate, a golden platter with literal golden cream on top of it, with a cherry on top, laced in God's jizz. It's literally just like, here, and just President Luthor build up slowly to be a main antagonist. You know what Zack Snyder did? He karate chopped that shit, got a torch, burned it. He's like, I want a fucking Joker. I want a Riddler. I want someone insane. I want someone who has Tourette's. And I want someone pissing in a jar ASAP. Terrible. Horrible. Anything you have to say to me about BVS, I will say, piss off. Garbage. Terrible. By the way, we were talking about Lord of the Rings.
Were we?
We were. That's what kind of got on this topic. It was the fact that 90 minutes versus 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. I don't understand why filmmakers feel like they need a 3-hour film, but unless you're ending this trilogy or this cinematic universe. Right. But Lord of the Rings technically did not need that. Because oh my! This was the first time I've ever saw Return of the King back to like full through. Like I never saw it fully through. I mainly just saw the main battle sequence. I'm like, Return of the King is really good. And then I got to the end. I heard memes and jokes about this all the time. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And now I get it.
Yeah.
I swear to God when I say this, if anyone has not seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy or the finale, I feel like the ending sequences had more of a story than the actual movie did. Holy fuck. I swear to God. Like, we see Frodo At the end of his journey, he nearly dies. Fade to black. Now he's in Mordor, or whatever the fuck his hometown is. Whatever. Who gives a shit? Names. Whatever. I'm pissed off like 4 billion people. Whatever. He wakes up in his home. You get Gandalf's creepy laugh. Zoom in. Whatever. We fade to black, and then we're fading back in. Now they're getting crowned, and now we fade to black, and then we're fading back. I swear to God, they did it at least. I lost count. I lost count at 6 times, and I'm not exaggerating. I did stop counting at 6 because I'm just like, fucking end. We get it. It's hard to get endings right, but this is worse. This is worse. Imagine Endgame fading to black every 5 minutes, and they're like, and you fade back in. You're like, oh, we gotta sit down. Oh shit! Holy fuck! Just like I wanted to snap my neck. I wanted to be Zod out there, just jump out the window. Oh, it was awful. Oh my God! And then there was a subplot where like Frodo was like leaving Mordor, or again, Middle Earth. He's leaving Middle Earth with Gandalf. I don't know why he's going on that creepy boat with that creepy old guy, but whatever. And then, like, Sam even had a freaking arc in the endings. Right. Sam went from, like, being alone, having a family, and then talking to Frodo about him leaving, and then Frodo leaving. That was just Sam. Just Sam. And he's not even the key player. Frodo is. Oh my God! I think Gandalf had a little arc going on there a little bit too, and then what's the Ranger one? Ranger's guy's name.
Fuck. I'll look it up.
Yeah, but anyway, like that guy had an arc on his own. Dude, it's gonna bother me. But shit. No, but every character had their little arc. Even the 2 hobbits had their arc. And in that movie, long story short,
was it Aragorn?
Aragorn, yeah. But he had his own little arc. 2 hobbits had their own little arc. The point being is, like, that's not essential, and that's why I'm always against movies being X length in time. That's why when I heard Endgame being 3 hours, I was like, makes sense, but I'm a little nervous because I feel like they're just going to stuff a little bit extra in there just for the sake of stuffing. I feel like the first 2 hours could have been chopped down a little bit, and but that's just whatever, because fan service. Because that's why I felt like my biggest problem was Endgame was just the fact that it was 2 hours of fan service and then 1 last hour of just badass fan service, which again with Captain America, like I feel like people are going to come after me for being very contradictory on Endgame, because I'm like, I hated it because it's fan service, and I'm like, but my favorite.
But I loved it because of fan service.
Yeah, I loved it because of fan service. I feel like it was too much fan service, but like
I get that.
Yeah, I mean,
but I still think the fact that it was the last, like, it was the crescendo for the first 12 years of the MCU, or however long it was.
11.
First 11, 12 years. Yeah. 11 years of the MCU. I think it didn't, the fan service didn't bother me because I kind of figured it was going to happen, but then 2, like, it was the fan service that we all wanted to see for a lot of it. Like Cap picking up Mjolnir, saying Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, I like that.
Seeing them kind of go back and, like, kind of not fix some things, but do some different things. I'm glad we got to see the Ancient One again. Tilda Swinton, I think her name is.
I think so.
Something like that. I really enjoyed seeing her, but like I feel like the fan service wasn't like too crazy or too bad.
I feel like it was the worst when it came to Cap and Iron Man, because we knew these 2 were probably not going to make it, most likely. We knew that, and they didn't even try to hide Iron Man was going to die. Like, we all knew he was going to die. First off, they gave that away in Infinity War. He's like, we got to save Iron Man. He's like, won, and like, yeah, it was very obvious. But they made it even more obvious in the movie when you see him talk to his dad, and I'm like, he's fucked. He's fucked. And
I do think, even before going into Infinity War, we all knew that this was going to be the end for Tony.
Oh yeah, but
so I don't have an issue necessarily with that as much. But yeah, I do see how it was kind of like forecasting and showing what was going to happen.
Yeah, it was like forcefully tying things in a pretty knot, and I don't want everything being tied in a pretty knot. Don't get me wrong, I love Cap's ending though. I love Cap's ending, but to me, it was very convenient that a stone was in a location that Captain America remembers back in his first film, and not only that, it's got Tony's dad, Cap's lover, all in the same location at the same time. It's just conveniences. That's what I did. Like I'm saying, like it was more of, like convenience. Okay, let's wrap this up with a pretty bow. Does it make the most sense? No, but let's end it. I just wish it was done a little bit more fluently.
But it was kind of known though, because like in his first film, Peggy and Tony's dad were working at the same base, which is where he was created.
Yeah,
and so he knew that the Tesseract was there. He knew that the Space Stone was there. I think it was a Space Stone they went for. Yeah, and so he knew that he would be there because he knew that those two were working on the base. To me, it kind of made sense because he knew because of what we were shown in the first Captain America movie.
Yeah, on that end, I guess it makes sense. It's just, again, Cap not bumping into Tony's dad. It's just, again, you can nitpick at Endgame.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's because since I had a harder time digesting certain elements, unlike you, you clearly were able to just swallow the pill and go forward, where I wasn't. Yeah. Once you have a hard time swallowing a pill in a film, it's hard to get past that. Because now the movies is like, swallow this, now swallow that, swallow this, swallow that. That's why I didn't like Black Panther that much, because I feel like the first 15 minutes told me to swallow a pill, and I'm just like, I can't. And then I was just watching the movie the entire time. If I watch Black Panther again, and I'm in a great mood, and I'm in a really nerdy mood, I could really end up liking the movie. But again, I didn't swallow that pill, and I was just like, I thought it was ass.
Right. I really enjoy Black Panther for the most part. The CGI is what gets me what takes me out of the movie in some spots, because it was not done very well.
Agreed.
But I've told you this several times. My biggest issue with that movie is not an issue, I guess, but my biggest nitpick with the movie is that it's more about Wakanda than it is about Black Panther.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, when you're talking about Black Panther and like vibranium and everything, you have to talk about Wakanda. Like they go hand in hand, so that makes sense. I'm just hoping in the second one we get to flesh out more about Black Panther than necessarily like the side characters around Black Panther and him. Just kind of more of like him and Shuri and Okoye.
Yeah, and my biggest problem with that movie was not even that, not even the fact that we're focusing on the world. It's the fact that vibranium was just a plot fix. Like the way they treated vibranium was a joke to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like even if I liked the first 20 minutes, right, and I was sucked in, that would have sucked me out almost guaranteed. Because now, like, a literal orb of vibranium put on this dude's back, and now he can walk. I'm like, wait a minute. And vibranium now can store energy and then release it. And then another thing I could not swallow was a 16-year-old girl being the smartest person in the universe, or the galaxy, my bad. Being the smartest person in the galaxy. Again, why is she? Because the society she's in is more advanced. But why is this society advanced? One singular metal. I don't know. It was hard for me to swallow that. I'm like, so this person is smarter than Vision. She's smarter than Tony. She's smarter than Bruce. I'm like, bullshit. They've been doing sciencey shit before she was born. Fucking hell. Tony made a magic suit where like literal nanotech shit can just appear out of nowhere. And you're telling me that, yeah. I'm like, when I'm sitting there thinking, so he made magic, basically.
Right.
But not smarter than a 16-year-old kid. Okay, it makes sense. Why? Vibranium. Okay, I had a reason and made sense. Okay, got it. I don't know. I'm like the only person in the planet Earth that hates, not dislike, but hates Shuri as a character.
See, I really enjoy her, but I do see where you're coming from with it. I just think, to me, it's easier because they are they're much more advanced than, like, Wakanda is much more advanced than we are, and like than what we're shown in the MCU for sure.
Yeah.
And in some ways, because vibranium is the strongest metal on Earth. It can do a whole lot of stuff. But it is very much a plot fixer of, like, vibranium can fix a guy's spine. It can also, like, rethrow energy, and it can, you know, do all of this different stuff. It was cool to see it, but it definitely is like, if something doesn't work, just throw vibranium in there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
to make it work. And I mean, that kind of happened with the Infinity Stones as well, in some ways.
Yeah.
But I think the Infinity Stones were handled a lot better.
And mainly because, like, they were set up properly, and they were built up properly. And whereas this was just, like, telling us to swallow one giant pill. It wasn't just like, okay, let's give them tidbits. Like, the whole MCU was done such in a well way where that the fact that a rainbow set of stones being the most powerful objects in the universe,
made sense.
We buy it. But because it was handled properly and it was dealt over time, where things were getting a little bit more wackier and wackier and wackier. And where in this, we're like, okay, we never really introduced vibranium other than a frisbee and Ultron. Let's just throw everything at it. And I'm like, whoa, slow it down. Slow it down. Like, don't get me wrong. Would I buy Shuri being the smartest person in Wakanda? Sure. Like, that I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with Shuri being smart. It's just the fact that she's smarter than literally all these other people. Like, the second that Reed Richards gets into the picture, the second he does, I swear to God, if Kevin Feige tells me that he's dumber than Shuri, hands are going to be thrown. Because Reed Richards, for those who don't know, Mr. Fantastic, is the smartest guy on the planet. Smarter than Doctor Strange. That's what makes him such a fascinating character. Because not because of his stretchy abilities, because that's a fucking terrible power. If I found out that my ability was to stretch, I would fucking try to hang myself. But guess what? My neck would be dangling down. Like, I can't even do that. I'm a superhero and I stretch? Balls!
I mean, it does have its advantages.
You can't get shot. I mean, depends on what kind of stretchy abilities you're talking about. Like, how powerful are your stretchy?
Like, if you're like Mr. Elongated Man from
like Flash. Like, you can get shot, you can just absorb that and shoot it back out.
You could just be chilling on your couch, and if you need something in the kitchen, just stretch your arm all the way out there and get it. You don't have to get up.
And you're gonna adjust your body. But those are like nuisance things. If you want to fight crime, dude, I'm not strong. No stretchy abilities are gonna fix that. So I'm gonna try to punch a bitch, and he's like, "Is that all you got?" I'm like, "I guess."
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just gonna be the guy that ends up strangling his criminals. That's all I can
it's effective.
Do. It's effective. I'll be like, "You son of a bitch!" It's like, just wrap around him like I'll be called the Viper, dude. Wow, holy fuck! We just created a superhero. I'm gonna be called the Viper, where I stretch and just wrap around his neck because that's all I can do. Because if I slap the shit out of him, he's like, "What?" The criminal's gonna he's gonna try to shoot me. I'm like, I can't. You can't do that. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, what were we talking about? I forgot. Oh yeah, Mr. Fantastic. No, but like, his intelligence is what makes him an interesting character. He is so intelligent, the fact that Galactus does not acknowledge anybody when he's destroying a planet because he just sees it as another planet. Basically, he's one of the constants in the universe, in the multiverse. There's always one Galactus just eating planets. Without him, the universe is off balance. So he just is there throughout space, time. He's always there. He doesn't acknowledge people because he doesn't care, but he was able to acknowledge Reed because he's like, I could tell that you're above these creatures, these man animals, as fucking John Travolta would say in Battlefield Earth. These man animals. No, but like, he acknowledged him. He's like, listen, you can't kill me. Reed is like, why? Because if you do, it's not the fact that I don't think you can, because I think you're smart enough that you can, but if you do, the universe itself is going to collapse. I'm telling you this because I think that you believe me and you can use your 2 IQ to process that that's the truth. He's like, oh shit. And he tells the Fantastic Four, yeah, we're not killing this guy. They're like, what? But he's like, shut up. Everyone's like, okay. So, that's what makes him smart. But if you tell me that a 16-year-old girl is smarter than that, there's going to be hands thrown. I'm telling you. Because she's not even done puberty yet. And you're telling me that this 40-year-old man, 50 depending on who they get, because I don't want another fucking angsty teen Reed Richards. I do not. I'm tired of it. But
give me John Krasinski.
Dude, him and Emily Blunt, they're fucking married and they literally look the part. them. Come on.
Just do it.
They're not going to do it.
I think they will. Marvel's casting is why everything works so well.
Yeah, but when's the last time a fan casting was actually casted? When's the last time? I don't think ever. Because Robert Downey Jr. was definitely not that.
No, nobody wanted Robert Downey Jr.
No one even thought of him. You know why? Because he was too busy shooting a needle. And then he literally was blessed by Jon Favreau. He's like, I see this guy going through a struggle, and he's perfect for Iron Man. Thank God, John. John, you saved everybody. You saved it. They wanted Tom fucking Cruise. Ew.
Yeah.
That would have been gross. Disgusting.
Yeah, that would have been not.
You would have seen.
But I do think though, if a fan casting is the right choice, that they won't just not do it because the fan casted it. But I think they'll actually just do it because I think they've already been in talks with Emily Blunt and John Krasinski about it.
Yeah, he teased that on his web series before. He's like, I had a talk with Marvel. He just winked, and it sucks that web series is kind of done. He sold it.
That was fantastic. I loved it.
It was so good. It was good while it lasted. It's funny because he literally just he had basically the same setup as I did when I had a computer, and he's like, "Some good news," and talk to himself. I'm like, what a legend, bro. I love John. he's got the charm that would fit the MCU, but just come on, please, Kevin,
please do
it.
I don't know who would play Human Torch or.
You gotta have someone who's gonna have great chemistry with Peter. I 100%. I 100% really good at that.
Is it the Thing? I don't remember.
The Thing. It's the Thing.
Yeah.
But I
There's
feel
a
like
movie called The Thing.
It's some Cthulhu shit. But no, with Human Torch needs to have chemistry with Peter because I hope that they actually do that because Human Torch and Spider-Man are blood brothers. They would die for each other. At least in the comics, they are bestest of friends. I'm talking about so close that if Peter gets married, Human Torch is going to be his best man. That's how close they are. I want to see that element, and I don't want to see Spider-Man have a mentor. I want to see someone be on his level. And that's why I want a more experienced Fantastic Four. That's why I want someone that's a little bit older.
We don't need an origin story.
We don't. We've seen it twice.
We've already seen it twice, and it was crap both times.
Rough. It was rough. No, but I just... This is what they need. We talked about this, I think, before. Not on the most recent podcast, but I'm talking about back when Captain Marvel was out.
Yeah.
We need more team-ups. Just smaller scale team-ups, not Avengers level stuff, but a Thor Ragnarok.
Hulk and Thor,
it's just stuff like that. Imagine a Fantastic Four. Do Fantastic Four on its own, and then have Spider-Man be in the sequel, team up because Spider-Man is a wild card. He can literally be put in almost every scenario.
You can put him with anybody and it'll work.
Yeah, you know why? Because he was so popular. They were just okay, comics not doing well, throw Spider-Man in there, and it always worked. And that's what he was. And guess what? Every time you put Spider-Man into the mix, ticket sales go up. It's just true. It's just true. Before superhero movies were even hella popular, this dude was making $700 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is back in 2004. So, he's obviously a fan favorite. He's the face of Marvel. Everyone's like, Iron Man's the face of Marvel. That's because you never read a comic book, you never watched any TV, and you only watched the MCU, and that's your only experience. So you're
I would say Spider-Man is definitely the face of Marvel. I think Tony's the face of the MCU right now.
Yeah.
Because we don't have as much time with Spidey as we do with Tony.
Yeah, and I want more of that. I want more Spidey.
Yeah, and I think I think if you ask me if which they probably are, but in the next 10 years after this next massive saga ends, who the face of the MCU is, it's probably going to be Spider-Man.
If it's not Spider-Man, it will be Black Panther. If it's not Spider-Man. Because it's all depending on the deal right now. We don't know what the deal's going to be.
Yeah.
If Sony really wants to commit a seppuku, Hadoku, whatever the Japanese art of stabbing yourself in the stomach because you rather die because it's honorable. If Sony wants to do that, take Spider-Man back, say fuck you MCU, and take him back. That's what you want. But if you want money, again, going back to the streaming service, if you have a scenario here where you have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the Venomverse, and then the MCU. Do you want to take that away when you're making 3 times the budget or 3 times the box office as you normally would with just having a one singular Spider-Man universe? Of course you don't. You want to keep that. You're making bank, brother.
I think that was just a political. I think that was a publicity stunt.
I agree. I agree.
And like, listen, I get you can call Disney greedy because they are very greedy. They're trying to make money. But only getting what they only got 5% of. They basically only got the marketing percentage, right?
Yeah,
that's a little bullcrap. That's a little crap. But asking for 50% after you're only getting 5% is a bit much. You have to you got
to
give them 20%.
Yeah,
give them
like 25%. Yeah.
And that because you still net 75% of a profit, and Spider-Man: Far From Home made over $1 billion, which means the next Spider-Man movie wouldn't shock me if it hit like 1.5.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's gonna be hard to do though.
It's depending on
the scale and who's in it.
I think if Daredevil is in it, I think it'll get 1.5. I think if it's Daredevil and it's introducing Norman Osborn into the MCU, I do think it's going to get 1.5.
Yeah, if Daredevil's in it. And it's not going to happen. Let's get this out of the way because people keep bringing it up. Charlie Cox is not Charlie. No, I'm saying Charlie Cox.
He is.
No, I don't think so.
I think he is.
I don't think so. Unless Netflix got over their bitch fit.
That whole thing that's what Daredevil 3 years after.
That's what Daredevil writes though. They like the character, but they own Charlie Cox's as Daredevil. They like he was contracted towards them. So I don't think you can do that. I'm not a lawyer. Neither are you. Like for all I know, you could be right. Like they could hire him, but do I think? I think realistically, I don't think it's going to be Charlie Cox. But listen, I would pass the fuck out in the theater, just shaking so hard of joy if I saw Charlie Cox pop in with the freaking red shades with the stick. I would cry. Tears would be shed. Like get him like. The freaking have him be like a year 1 Daredevil, like where he doesn't have the costume yet. Like again, the Netflix costume, the black shirt, black mask, and that they're just like keep it similar to the Netflix show, but obviously you got to restart because that's their story. But I would love to see that if again Daredevil shows up. I would love it. People are like, this is a Daredevil villain, but it's more of a Daredevil and Spider-Man villain. I want Kingpin to be the main villain. And I want it to be a fact where like Kingpin is against superheroes. Like that's like his main thing. Like maybe I don't want it to be another Iron Man fault kind of shit. I'm tired of everything being Iron Man's fault, even when he's dead.
I think we're gonna get another one of those movies, by the way.
I hope not. But let's just say like I don't know. It was another major fight that happened in the past. It would be interesting if they did like a Captain Marvel, like when she was fighting. I barely remember the movie. I saw it once in theaters, and that's going to be it. But maybe when she was punching shit and shit fell from space, or she got into a fight on Earth and something happened, she saw a superhero and killed someone that he loved, like a childhood girlfriend. Like it'll be an interesting spin on Vanessa. It'll be a very interesting spin. I don't think they should go that way, but I'm saying it would be interesting if he saw like his high school lover get crushed by Captain Marvel, depending on how old they're going. But like, I want to see that happen. So he's like, okay, now I got power. It's 20 at this point. It would be like 2026, 2027. Because it's in the future, whatever time period it is. He's going to be a little bit older, and he'll be like a lot more buff. And I want to see something like that. Michael Clark Duncan, whatever his face was from the original Daredevil movie. I would love him back as Kingpin, but sadly he passed away. And it's one of those occasions where, like, in the comics he's white, but I feel like the actor who was black was fucking perfect for the role. You know why? Because he had a deep, commanding voice, and he was big.
Yep.
When he does something ridiculous, when he because Kingpin is not really superpowered, but he's like he's durable. He's strong. It's like more absurdity with Kingpin, but you got to get someone big to buy that. Don't get Dwayne Johnson,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying like someone who's big like Dwayne Johnson.
That's why like Vincent D'Onofrio worked so well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
because he was huge.
So good. Dude, he was good in the role too. Like,
yeah,
the first crime he committed on screen for us in season 1 was when I'll never forget when I saw this in theaters, not theaters, on Netflix. Because this is the reason why I got Netflix to begin with.
Yeah,
is when he gets his car and then starts slamming the door against this dude's head, and you hear the thud of the head dropping down. I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" I was like, "That's insanity." And that's what I want. Obviously, we're not going to get heads flopping up. I mean, we did get Loki's neck snapping and turning purple.
You saw Thanos' head chopped off.
Yeah, but... So, it's possible.
And you saw his head rolling around.
I want to see, like... You got to pull off, like, a Two-Face. Someone who can be, like, very charming, but someone that you can buy going apeshit. Because that's basically Kingpin. Like, he's a Two-Face. He's the Two-Face of Marvel. Except he's not severely scarred, and he's insane. I will say he's actually insane.
He's insane.
He's
definitely insane.
I was going to say, like, yeah, he's not criminally insane. And I paused. I'm like, he did slam a dude's head against a car door.
He did also, like, was it season 3, where he killed a whole bunch of people in the gym and prison?
Yes. Oh, my God. It was such a great scene, bro.
And then the final fight between him and Daredevil.
That was so good. I got to rewatch season 3. I got to. Season 3 is so great. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was so sad that was the end. But, like, no, we definitely... Like, I agree with you, though. Like, Daredevil being in part of the Spider-Man, it's going to bump sales up because some people are tired of Spider-Man. Not everybody. Just, like, there's a small portion. It's a portion that are tired of Spider-Man. But add to the flavor, add to the mix of, like, a Daredevil. Or let's just say, for shit to giggles, not going to happen by a stretch, but Human Torch comes in. You're adding ticket sales. You're adding characters to a mix, and you're adding a mini team up. And I think it's only gonna benefit them because you're adding chemistry to these superheroes that are supposed to be like brother in arms. So in order to buy that, it shouldn't just be an Avengers level of threat, because we technically only seen the Avengers be Avengers 4 times, and they were both world-ending events, and we got teased
5 times.
Yeah, technically.
Civil War was basically an Avengers movie.
Yeah, but it was definitely not building chemistry. It's definitely not.
No, but they were the Avengers against the Avengers. So it was like Avengers team versus Avengers team.
Yeah, realistically, Iron Man's team should have won. Realistically.
Well, Iron Man was right in the whole situation.
Yeah, I mean,
Cap's argument went out the window when he didn't tell Tony that Bucky was the one that killed his parents. That's just a dick move.
Yeah, I was Team Iron Man very publicly about that. Team Iron Man. Because I'm like, realistically, half of New York got blown up. I mean, don't get me wrong, without the Avengers, it would have actually blown up. Because you got a cockroach problem, send a nuke. America. But, so, like, there's that. And then, like, there was the city falling from the sky. Don't get me wrong, they were preventing that shit from getting any worse. But they got to be held accountable, or we're going to get a situation like The Boys. Realistically,
it's a great show.
Yeah, fantastic. By the way, I'm watching. I'm halfway through Comics Explained, going through the full story. I'm halfway through that, and it's so good. Oh my god, I love it so much. But if they are not held accountable, shit like that could happen. So you can't blame them for wanting to sign a contract. And Tony had a fucking guilty conscience. He killed a kid. Like his mom, this dude's mom was just like, you killed this guy. And it's not the first time he fucked up. So he's like, okay, I can't clearly be held accountable anymore. Because every time I make a decision, people die. So send it to the government.
Like, I do think Cap does have a point, and like, if we feel like we should go, we need to be able to go. Yeah. Because there are going to be agendas that take place, which is very, very true.
Yeah.
But that's still a very, very prideful statement to make. And so, like, it's still like I think Cap had his moments of being right, but I think overall Tony was definitely right.
Yeah, and since it was Captain America's movie, they obviously changed the narrative to where he was clearly the right one. Because, like, okay, no, we want people to, at the end of the movie, we want to make it clear that Cap was right. Cap was right. So they made it where, like, Thunderbolt Ross was being a dick. He's being being a thunder whore about it. So okay, now you lean more towards Cap. And throughout the movie, I was seeing like, okay, motively speaking, Tony's right, but the story and the way the events are unfolding, it's the writers basically telling me we want we want Cap to be right.
Right.
Like we're in a real world scenario. It's obviously not the real world, but in a real world scenario, Tony should have won. Like at least debate wise. But again, they did that so well to where you can argue that on both sides. Like this and that, like that's what makes a good movie. Where it asks you a question like, is he right? Is he wrong? That's why Thanos in Infinity War was so great. That's why he hated him in Endgame because
he completely changed. Because
he went a 180, and everyone's like, "Well, that's 2014.
He had a
that's
reason
20,
to.
Yeah, that's a 2014.
He had a reason to.
Yeah, but like, you couldn't even recognize him. That's the thing. That's how much of a 180 he did.
Which I love that because it would have been boring if it was the same Thanos. I think.
No, I feel like. I love the character so much in Infinity War. In Endgame, now he's just like, you're all peasants. You're all barmen.
But he even said like, never have I've never taken joy out of destroying a planet or after like killing a bunch of people. But because of what you've done, I'm going to enjoy this very much. And it's like, that makes sense. I get it. Like I get it.
You can get it, but it ruins the complexity of Thanos. And again, Infinity War was Thanos' movie. It was.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Yeah, so clearly you're not going to get the same complexities here, and I'm fine with that, especially because he's not 4 years younger, or he's not 4 years older. Okay, but like what kind of character development did we see from 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy to 2018's Infinity War? In 2015, he put on a glove. He said, "Fine, I'll do it myself." That's the only arc we got from him in between those years. So what changed? But no, it's again the joy out of that Infinity War is the fact he's being ruthless, but he didn't want to. Right. And like you can clearly see he's doing it just because he had a mission, and he was so willing to change that mission in a heartbeat. You know what he should have done? He should have said, "Okay, anyone who has superpowers, snap. Okay, now we're gonna kill 50% of the population. Snap." But no, he instead of doing that, because in the Infinity War, he's really smart and calculating. So instead of that, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna fuck everybody over, snap everyone out of existence, and then snap up into my own universe. When in reality, that's not gonna work. You know why? Because he had a fucking limp arm.
Yeah,
so that's not gonna work. Realistically, his plan is not gonna work for shit. He's gonna snap everyone out of the universe, and he's gonna be sitting there floating. He's like, okay, I got one arm left. How am I going to take this thing off? And he's going to struggle getting that thing off. He's going to snap his fingers, everyone back into existence. And now he's fucking crippled. How's he going to rule shit? How is he going to help dictate shit when he's fucking got no arms? How is he going to push in a wheelchair? He's just going to sit there. Oh,
but technically, he could use like the Reality Stone to give him a new arm.
But at that point, like the gauntlet's destroyed, and it was like one use.
It wasn't destroyed yet, because remember he used the stones again to destroy the stones.
What was it after that?
It was so after he snapped in Infinity War. It was then like remember in Endgame they had another cosmic event take place on another planet because he snapped his fingers again to destroy the stones.
And was that the thing that destroyed his gauntlet? Because I remember his gauntlet being destroyed.
Yeah.
Okay, so after two snaps.
Well, no, because remember the gauntlet was like seared to his hand.
Okay.
Because when he's walking through the garden, he's picking up the fruit. He's got the gauntlet still on his hand.
That makes sense because the reason why I got seared to his hand.
Because when Thor cuts off his arm and they roll it over, they realize the stones are gone, and that's when everyone freaks out a little bit.
Okay, that makes sense because the reason why he got seared on his arm is not because he snapped; it's the fact that he destroyed the stones and that explosion seared. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. But
because after he snapped in Infinity War, he even used the Space Stone to escape.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he's gonna be still like severely crippled at that point.
Oh, he's gonna be messed up. Yeah, he's still gonna be messed up.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just like it's gonna be like, dude, how are you gonna even do anything Like, you got a metal arm now. You have to wear that gauntlet at all times. How are you going to take a shower? It's like...
You really think he showers?
Dude, you saw those chin hairs in Infinity War. He clearly grooms himself, dude. He clearly grooms himself.
That's true.
Yeah, you don't get those fine stubbles without taking care of yourself. Remember when we first did a podcast together? We were on a similar tangent, and we were talking about him on John Deere because we were talking about Endgame.
I do remember that, and then it happened with the farming.
Yeah,
he went on a John Deere, but he was farming, and I was very excited that he was farming.
This movie is sponsored by John Deere.
John Deere. Why not? The first one, the Age of Ultron, was sponsored by Gillette. Remember that? The massive Gillette can that was just in the shot of Bruce Banner and Black Widow and the...
Oh my god! I do! And, like, there's some whack-ass, like marketing schemes that they throw out there.
Now it's all Audis, the car.
Dude, that's only been Audis. It's always been there. You like even in Iron Man 1, I'm like, dude, the reason why they were able to even make this is because of Audi. They're like, listen,
they're nice cars. I'll give it to them. They're nice cars.
Yeah, but the fact that everyone drives them. At least they didn't pull a cat in the hat. They're like, just, hey, you want to get in my Audi? It's very fancy, very luxurious. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's great. Let's see. This is the first time in months you got my recommended. Oh, well, thank you. Welcome, Mudkip. And what's up, my dude? So, yeah, we've been talking for a minute. You got any final topics you want to talk about? Any wild cards you want to throw out there, guys, before we hit the hay? Because we've been talking for almost an hour and a half, which is great because, dude, honestly, I could have gone on for days about this streaming theater thing.
Yeah.
Like, just because, again, it's a hot topic, and
it is.
And people... But,
after this whole thing closes, like, after everything gets hopefully back to normal...
It will, one day.
I think, I think this whole discussion will kind of just fade away.
Oh, yeah,
I think it's just of what we're going through right now is why this discussion is so prevalent.
Yeah, like, it's just certain people who are acting like they're intellectual beings. I'm not pretending like I'm an intellectual being. Dude, I fucking stutter in simple sentences, so I'm not an intellectual. But I have at least I think I have the ability to see a bigger picture. They're struggling not because it's theaters and no one wants to go. It's because of coronavirus. So this adapt or die dog shit needs to go. It needs to go.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to tell it to your favorite mom and pop shop who has the best pizza pie in the state? You go there, like the cheese is just the way you want it, the perfect amount of crust, not too hot, and you just can bite it. Oh, it's just super creamy. The cheese got the right pepperoni. Are you going to say adapt or die because of coronavirus? Oh, you can't make it? Shoot yourself in the foot for me. Walk 10 miles. And are you alive? No, because you bled out. Well, tough shit. Adapt or die. That's how I see it. Because mom and pop shops are struggling the most.
Yeah.
But, yeah. There's a lot of shit that closed. Like there was a mom and pop shop HVAC place I was thinking about applying to. They're down. They're out. They couldn't afford it. They shut down, which really depressed me. And that's why I hate the adapt or die. So when I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see adapt or die, I just want every fiber in my being just wants to just go in there and just rant on them. Really put them in their place and tell them why they're a worthless piece of dog shit. But you know what? I bite my tongue. I'm like, I'm a better person than that, and I keep scrolling. And I block them. No, I don't. I just ignore them. But what were you going to say?
I don't think I was going to say anything.
Okay, let's see what we got in the comments. Disney is being scummy. We already talked about this. So that's why... Mudkip, you were one of the focal points of the conversation. So, Disney is not being scummy. We're gonna retread for those who are still sticking around. I'll be quick about it. Disney can't be scummy when they're losing money. We said HBO Max basically made $700 million. Roughly, if they had the same amount of subscriptions at this point in time, they would get $750 million in 1 year. We're going to assume Disney has the same amount of numbers, even though it could be lower. Mulan costed $200 million on top of that marketing, so we're going to say $300 million total. And they're making $750 million a year off of streaming services. That just got sliced almost in half. Well, technically, yeah, almost in half. So, if you want to keep seeing these Avengers movies, if you want to keep seeing movies in general from Disney, that $30 a month, it's nothing. It's literally like buying a DVD. Is it a little weird that you got to buy the streaming services and then on top of that, buy the DVD? It's a little weird because it's a new concept, but they're not going to make their money back whatsoever if they don't do it any other way. Because they will go bankrupt. They'll be like AMC if they just release a $200 million budget film onto a streaming service, and guess what? All you had to do was pay $15 a month. And not only that, you get everything else. So they would be out of the business by next year. Because guess what? Fun fact, they're already in the shitter when it comes to box office. They are losing money because it's not just movies that they're affected by. Their parks are in the can. So every source of revenue Disney has is in the shitter. Yeah. So they're literally grasping at straws like everybody else here. And guess what? Literally, what was it? Like last year or a year before, they bought Fox for what was it? Yeah. It was like what, 7 point something billion, or was it more than that?
I think it was a lot. That.
Yeah, look that up really quick. But they dumped a massive amount of their budget into that, which was like, I think it was like a fourth of their stocks. A fourth or third of their stocks, a high amount.
They paid $71.3 billion.
Holy shit! So yeah, $71 billion, and that's a third or a fourth of their overall bank account. And so they're struggling on that. So they're trying to make their money back. Yes, they're making a couple billion here and there, but that's a couple billion out of $71 billion. So on top of that, it makes sense why they're doing it.
Right.
Because they're not going to just like let it just dust away. They got to release it sooner rather than later because it's going to throw off all their other films. It's like they're just doing the best they can with a shitty situation. It was going to be released in theaters, and they saw that cases are going up because apparently people don't know what the fuck 6 feet apart means because they're so stupid they can't get a measuring stick. And people... I got to say this really quick. Andy, your state is really moronic. Or was it Alabama? It was one of them. It was Tennessee or Alabama. It was some hick state. No offense, Andy. But, wow. Yeah. There was a coronavirus party.
That was Alabama.
Okay, it was Alabama. I knew it was something in the South. I was like, the first thing I heard about, I was like, that's Andy. No, apparently it's not. But like, there's a coronavirus party. In New Jersey, there was a barbecue with at least 60 people in a backyard. The size of my fucking room. Drinking beers, swimming in the pool, sharing bites of burgers. I'm like, you guys are the reason why we're going to stay in here longer. You're the reason why I can't go back to my life. Because of you. But let's see what the comments said really quick before I get another tangent. Oh, I understand $30, but making you keep the subscription to keep the movie. Once you pay $30, you should be able to own the movie. You should have to... Andy, what... Is that the case where you have to keep the streaming service in order to keep the movie? Is that the thing?
I'm sure it is because the only way you can get it is if you have the streaming service because they're only doing it on Disney Plus.
Okay.
So
I'm not 100% sure if that's the case. If
it would kind of be like Netflix releasing a movie, making you pay for it, but then like you would have to keep your Netflix account to keep the movie.
Cause that's interesting. I don't think that is the case. It could be. I'm not saying Mudkip is lying or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying realistically, it doesn't make sense why they would do that. Because, like, if you buy a movie off of YouTube and you don't have a YouTube subscription, like YouTube Premium, you still have the movie. But YouTube's different, obviously. But if that's the case, that is a little scummy, a little. But let's be honest here. Let's be 100% honest here. No one's watching a movie every month on repeat, unless it's like Infinity War or anything else like that. Right. Because at that point, you're going to buy it on physical copy. Is Mulan going to be out on physical copy? Probably not for a while, but it will be one day. So if you want a one-time purchase, just buy a physical copy. Go on Amazon, be like, yo, give me Mulan, bitch. But like, it's
so.
What's
So
up?
I just looked it up though, and basically it's like one of the questions is how long do I have to watch Mulan once I pay for it online? It says essentially forever. Once you unlock access to Mulan on Disney Plus, you keep your access to it as
Okay.
long as you're an active Disney Plus subscriber.
Oh, okay. So that is the case. Um, that is a little interesting. That does change the perspective about things a little bit. But let's be honest here. If you are like getting Disney Plus and you want to watch Mulan, just get it and just be done with it, or just don't watch it. I'm not saying it's this pure thing. It does mud up the waters a little bit, but it's not like they're going to be doing this with everything. It really does change things a lot, though. At least in my opinion, I understand why they're doing it, though.
I don't see. It doesn't change my opinion though, because it's like if it's only going to be on Disney Plus, then I mean you would kind of have to be a subscriber to get to it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's kind of like being a perk of being a Disney Plus subscriber is like, hey, this movie that was going to come out in theater, it's not going to be able to come out because of. At least it's not going to be able to come out right now because of everything going on. So you pay $30, you get to watch it and you get to keep it forever on Disney Plus as long as you stay on Disney Plus. So like I don't really necessarily have a problem with it. I think it's a smart marketing way of getting people that want to buy Mulan, or in November that want to buy Black Widow. It's a good incentive to go ahead and just buy Disney Plus and then just stay with Disney Plus from there on.
Yeah. And Mukib does bring up a good point. I know there's certain people out there that want to see this, but like, who cares about Mulan?
Right.
I mean,
I think it's going to be a bigger factor when Black Widow comes out.
Yeah, agreed. Am I interested to see Mulan? Yeah, because I think Mulan was one of those movies that had a great benefit to one out of all the bullshit live action remakes. I feel like Mulan was the one that could benefit the most because it's a war movie, and they're going the war movie route. So I find it very interesting, and people are pissing and moaning that it's not a musical. I'm like, you guys like don't know what kind of tone they're going for, because a lot of people are complaining about it's specifically about the remakes. Really quick, people are pissing and moaning that they're cut and dry, the same exact thing, but just less personality. Now the fact that they're doing something different, it's automatically a problem. So you see the contradictory here. I feel like people's tones are going to change once they go to see the movie, because they're going to be like, wow, this is a different take on it. Similar characters, just different scenario, different tone, different world. And I'm really down for that. I'm really excited, especially because they actually got an all Asian cast. You don't have a Matt Damon chilling around there. Like, yeah, I'm from the States. What the fuck are the States? Like, you don't have that kind of scenario going on. For those who don't know, I'm quoting the Big Wall, the Great Wall. It was that movie that no one saw because it was the Great Wall of China, but with aliens. Fucking ass concept. What a terrible idea. Anyway, that's some B movie shit. Some dude just had a dream one day. He's like, I'm gonna make that as a movie.
Awful. He's high as a kite, probably.
Probably, dude. He's probably on the Great Wall. He's just smoke a blunt. He's like, whoa, bro! You see those aliens? They're just fucking trees. He's like, whoa! And it's a terrible idea. But anyway, I feel like again, Mulan would have benefited the most from it. So I'm intrigued to see how they do it. The trailers haven't really won me over per se, but I'm still probably gonna watch it just so I could see a cool take on a war movie. The musical elements being taken out. If I didn't have to review it,
I probably wouldn't. If I didn't have to do a review on it, I probably wouldn't watch it, to be honest.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, because I'm probably not going to end up reviewing it because my reviews don't do really that well. I'm going to be honest here. That's kind of why a while ago.
Since we're doing it on the website and everything.
Make sure you guys go to dorksnextdoor.com.
Please do. Jason just did a new article about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
They took out the silliness, I think. Yeah, there's no Mishu, whatever, the red dragon, guy who clearly doesn't fit in that kind of culture, making pop cultural references. Like, they're like, let's get an Aladdin, but not as funny. I'm going to say something as super controversial.
Okay.
Because apparently he's fucking beloved. Robin Williams, overrated.
Oh, no. I can't be your friend anymore.
What? You know one fun fact that no one knows about him? He's infamous for stealing other people's jokes.
Yeah, I know, but he was at least in Aladdin. He was my favorite part of Aladdin.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like he does have good roles. Like
And
Aladdin, I
Mrs.
loved him in Aladdin.
Doubtfire, Mrs. Doubtfire is fantastic. Oh,
He was good. He was good in that. That's definitely on the higher tier of his movies. But a lot of his movies, I just don't find movie.
Flubber. Flubber was.
I did not see that, and I don't want to watch it.
Flubber was what I grew up on, man.
But like, again, it's just his style is not my thing. It's just not.
I get it.
Yeah, like
I get it, but
I said two controversial things in my school, and that's why I kept my a lot of my film opinions to myself, especially when I know it's not popular. I said, I said three unpopular things. I said Johnny Depp overrated. I nearly got burned with a fork. I said Tim Burton, unique style but overrated. Nearly got smacked in the face. Robin Williams, overrated. I nearly got choked out by a girl.
I get it.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, chill. You don't know him. You don't owe him anything. I just don't find him funny. Like some people don't find Kevin Hart funny. I find him funny. I know his shtick's gonna go old. Like Ryan Reynolds is running on terrible, like dangerous territory right now, where his shtick can go old really quick. His shtick could. Like I'm starting to feel it, but it hasn't gotten there yet. But I'm feeling it. Like it's the same thing over and over again. But it's his charm that's keeping me there. That's why I like Kevin Hart. His shtick is old, but his charm is keeping me there. Plus, he's a Philly man, so I can't hate him too hard. Dude, I love... Sidetrack really quick. I saw him get plastered at the Super Bowl, where, like, the Eagles guys saw him. He was drunk on the field, and they were, like, trying to get him up, and the security guards were like, piss off. And he's like, what? Like, they told me to go up there. He was about to pass on the fucking field. It was hilarious. But, no.
See, I'm the same way about Steve Martin. I don't think Steve Martin's funny.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. He's got a charm to him, but I don't find him that funny. Like
there are roles that he's funny. Like Pink Panther is pretty funny.
The original one's all right. It's all right.
But in some of his other stuff, he's not that great.
Mudkip, what you just say? I just want to see the new SpongeBob movie. It looks so good. Get out. It's awful. You know, did you see the trailer for the new SpongeBob movie?
No, I'm not. This is controversial. I'm not a huge SpongeBob fan.
How old are you, really quick?
I am 23.
Okay, you're literally a year older than me, so you did grow up with it. So did you just not watch it as a kid?
No, I did. I just
never found him that funny.
No, never found him that funny.
Okay, fair enough. There's always that one person out there. SpongeBob did get on my nerves a little bit, but it was never that. It was just this. Like the weird situation. I felt bad for Squidward 90% of the time. There was 10% of the time where he was actually a douche and he deserved to get punished. But like he was just an emotional punching bag. But anyway, beside the point. The SpongeBob movie, the new one, is just a retread of a very famous episode where Gary goes missing. And it's iconic because it's actually one of the few times they try to pull at your heartstrings. Where Gary goes missing and there's like a very sad, actually really well sung song about Gary going like missing. He's like, "I'm sorry, I mistreated you. Please come home." Because SpongeBob was kind of ignoring Gary, and I forget what happened, but it was just a whole episode of him trying to find him, and that's what this movie's about. And then they're doing an origin story on top of that, of where these guys met, even though the original episode, the first episode, was on how everybody met. But they're like, oh yeah, we're all gonna meet at a camp. I'm like, that's ass, whatever.
Yeah.
All comedians run dry. Comedy is dead. I love the art style. The art style is alright in that movie. All comedians, like I won't say all comedians run dry. It's like stylized comedians that dry out.
Yeah.
Because like I'm surprised. What's that guy with the puppets?
Jeff Dunham?
Yeah, Jeff Dunham. He's still around, apparently.
He's funny still. He's still doing new stuff.
Yeah, like a friend of mine, he was going to be on the podcast sometime soon. He was actually, if you go back on my original podcast, when I was actually trying to be really serious in my podcast, cringe, by the way, I was like trying to be another podcaster, and I realized after I started doing everything on PlayStation, I'm like, okay, let's just have fun with it. But anyway, the guy who's on that stuff, he saw Jeff Dunham, and he's like, yeah, he's freaking hilarious. I'm like, he's still around? I remember him when I was a kid, when I was like 11. So he's been around for at least 11 years. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kevin Hart's been around for 11 years, but like, again, it's just a guy with puppets and a guy who makes Muslim jokes. I'm not saying I hate the guy. I've never really seen much of him, but I'm just like, I'm surprised he's still around. Like, Gabriel Iglesias is still around. I found him funny.
Oh,
but like,
Fluffy! I love Fluffy.
Fluffy's amazing.
Fluffy fan.
I just didn't like his TV show though. Did you see his TV show
on Netflix?
Yeah,
it was okay. It was funny at times. He was funny in it.
Yeah, it was just like the kid stars that were like trying to be funny and they're like trying to like have these arcs. I'm just like, like.
And apparently, Oscar Nunez, or that's his name in the office. That might be his actual real name. I'm not sure. But he apparently in like I haven't seen the second season yet.
I haven't either.
Apparently he drops like several Office references in there, which I'm like, I can appreciate that.
Like there was a whole episode dedicated to one of the kids who was protesting for the word Latino to be changed to Latinx, and I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but I don't know. That's not entertainment. Like,
right?
That's not why I came here for the show. I came for the show to watch Gabriel.
It felt like a very heavy Disney Channel show.
It did. I'm like, I want to see. Like, Fluffy's very family friendly. I get that. He's always been family friendly with like an edge to him. Like
right.
He's like a '90s Disney movie. That's the best way to describe him. He's family friendly but with an edge, and I always appreciated that. But this felt like a Disney XD at 9 a.m. kind of show, and like when you're homesick.
Not even one of the good ones with like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody or anything like that.
I have not seen that show. I never really watched it.
Oh, dude, it's fantastic.
I heard that was one of the better ones. Like, I was always a Nickelodeon and a Cartoon Network kind of kid. Because I grew up watching 3 shows. SpongeBob, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Ben 10. And I had my...
Ben 10 is fantastic.
I rewatched it, at least the first season. It sadly doesn't hold up. But
does it?
It doesn't. Like, realistically, it doesn't hold up. But, like, as a kid's show, I'm like... As a kid show holds up, but like it's not like Avatar. It's not like Avatar when you watch it as an adult. You're like, wow, this is deep. This is interesting. It's just another fun kids movie. Ben 10's what got me into sci-fi fantasy shit. It's what got me into aliens. It's actually a huge influence on one of my projects I want to work on when I become a successful filmmaker. It's like that. Ben 10 was a huge influence on that, and the main villain, Vilgax, huge influence for my villains as well. Like, Ben 10 changed me. So when I watched it, I'm like, I'm still going to continue watching it because, again, it had a huge influence on my life. Yeah. So it was those 3, and then I had my side bitches. I had Drake and Josh, a couple other Nickelodeon shows. Like, what was that show? It was not as good. Definitely not as good. But it was like the most expensive Nickelodeon show called Zoe 101.
Yeah, I watched that. It was supposed to be like a drama type thing.
Yeah, it was like literally just a kid going to school. And I remember like the finale being like this. Like if season 3 was supposed to be the finale, and then season 4 became the thing. I'm like, wait, they're continuing. But yeah, there was a couple of weird Nickelodeon shows. Man, those were the times when they were all into like the sitcoms. They were all into the sitcoms.
Yeah. See, I always grew up watching Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
I remember that show. That's great. Classic.
The original Teen Titans cartoon.
Fantastic.
Which is amazing. Mm-hmm. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. And Kim Possible.
I never watched Kim Possible.
Kim Possible was amazing. I had a crush on her when I was like 5, and it was fantastic.
They were only into sitcoms. I used to talk about Nickelodeon. Yeah, like I saw there was this one where it was like about a superhero family. I'm like, that sounds like iCarly mixed with Incredibles.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I
remember...
What
was that Disney movie, Sky High?
Oh my god, I had that saved on my HBO Max list. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna rewatch it. I'm afraid I'm gonna end up hating it because I remember liking it. I'm looking at it. I'm like, I'm probably gonna end up hating this movie. So like, maybe a WTF series, but I'm like, but it's nostalgic. I don't want to touch it. Like, so I'm not gonna be mad reviewing. I'm gonna be crying reviewing it. Like, this movie's ass. It actually sucks. Like, the superhero, the Panther, he went pew pew once. It's terrible. I would be crying, bro. I'd be so sad. I'm like, you remember when the school went to the sky? It's terrible. I would like. There's gonna be one WTF series I'm gonna end up watching. I'm gonna be like, oh, I love this movie. So like, you know how at the end of my WTF series now, I have like next week it's gonna be this. Yeah. There's gonna be a week where I end up breaking that rule. It's because I watched a nostalgic movie because I'm like, ooh, and then it's just gonna be me crying. And then you know why it's not what you were expecting. Like, I'll be like, okay, next week on WTF series, the remake of what's that movie called? Not Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street. No,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, the remake of that. Like, I'm gonna be reviewing that next week. Everyone's like, oh, that movie's shit. I can't wait. And then you'll be saying Sky High. You're like, what happened to him? And just be crying, like, no. Sniffling, get a box of tissues, like Remember those Ben 10 movies? Those like live action.
I only saw like one, I think. And
was it the younger one? Was it the younger one or the older one? Because I saw both of them. They were both terrible. I was so excited to see Diamond Head and shit. I'm like, this movie's terrible. Even as a kid, I'm like, Ben 10 legit could be like a good movie franchise.
Yeah,
I'm putting that out there. Even in today's technology, you can actually do a cool TV series out of it. HBO Max, come on, 10-episode seasons. Get Vilgax in there, like build up Vilgax, and then just that's when you'd be like, okay, the season finales are gonna be movies because for the love of God, we can't afford having like 40 minutes of just Vilgax breaking buildings and flying a massive ship. I mean, you done Game of Thrones for the love of God. You done Game of Thrones. I think you could do Ben 10. Because literally, it's just like massive backgrounds, costumes. This, all you got to do is just get normal costumes, just normal clothes so you don't have to break the bank with that. Just visual effects. But that's the thing. That's why I think it would benefit as a movie, though.
Yeah.
Like, Vilgax, come on, dude. Come on. Imagine just seeing forearms. He's just punching Vilgax, and Vilgax is like, bitch, backhands him, and you see forearms just flying to a building. Come on, who won't want to see that? It sucks because it's a kid getting his ass beat, so it's a little bit different, but still, come on. Just, who wants to see that? Okay, guys, we're going to call it there. Andy, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DorksNextDoor. Take out the E from next. You can also subscribe to our new YouTube channel, Dorks Next Door, where today, actually, we released our MCU fan favorite characters list. You can still add your list there, and we probably will do an update video in a few months or so on it and see if anything has changed with it. But you can also go to our website, dorksnextdoor.com, where we're going to be doing a lot of new articles and reviews and things like that as they come out. So a lot of new, exciting stuff coming out very, very soon.
And fun fact on his video, the people at the bottom belong at the bottom. Just saying that. They belong there. That's all I'm going to say.
The top like 10 really surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, when I saw, no spoilers here, but when I saw the one over the other, you know what I'm talking about. I'm like, wow, surprising. But number one, come on. Yeah.
Number one is,
yeah. Check it out. What are we talking
don't surprise
about?
Me.
Yeah, you want to be part of the conversation? Make sure you watch his video. So you'll be like, oh, yeah, subscribe. Get to 50 subscribers. If Dorks Next Door gets to 50 subscribers by Monday, I do something special for you guys. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it something you want? Is it something you don't want? I don't know. You don't know because guess what? You're not subscribed. So if you want to be in on the conversation, make sure you subscribe. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for this podcast. Thank you, Andy. I'm definitely going to have you on again. I got to get Nico and you on the podcast. That's going to be fantastic. Just having a trio, us back and forth. I think that's going to be great content for the podcast. Anyways, guys, make sure you thumbs up, subscribe, Twitter, Gumps_videos. You can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Gumps videos. $1, you get exclusive content. Only one exclusive video is up right now, but the second I get more patronage on there, exclusive content, like really raunchy bits that I will not be on my gaming videos. Like, I say some fucked up shit on my my gaming stuff, but if you want to get more edgy than that, make sure you put down $1. Right now it says it's 50, but I'm going to be changing that in a minute because clearly people are not supporting me, so we got to make it cheaper. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and like up. Later and goodbye. Peace.